Why Not? A queer podcast.
Thank you to our sponsor, Pineapple Healthcare, an award-winning primary care clinic right here in Orlando.
Pineapple Healthcare offers mental health counseling, HIV, STI testing and treatment, and specializes in care for the LGBTQ plus community.
Open Monday through Saturday. Call today at 407-553-6336 and schedule your appointment.
Pineapple Healthcare. Better together.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rick Todd.
And I'm Jeremy Williams, and you're listening to Wine,
Why Not? A queer podcast.
episode 96. Ooh.
I feel like that sounded like I was so apathetic in the beginning of that. I don't know what's happening. I must be just either exhausted or I'm in some kind of weird... I got some brain cloud thing going on.
Yeah. I mean, it's that time of year. Post-election, we're days away from Thanksgiving, weeks away from Christmas, about 2 months away from the end of the world.
Do you think eating bad food makes you stupid?
Nope.
Because I ate bad food yesterday, and ever since I just had this cloud. I ate so much bad food, and then I sat and watched what I thought was a 13-hour-long movie, and my brain is just mush.
I love a good mini-series at the Cineplex.
So I don't want to jump ahead here. Yeah, 96. So we'll backtrack.
Yes.
1996. We usually do some fun facts about it.
I got a few fun facts
Did you
for
look
you.
some up?
I got a couple for you.
I looked up some too.
Fun one. Something that fed into the narrative that in the 1990s I was in fact a lesbian. The Rosie O'Donnell show kicked off in 1996. One of my favorite shows of all time, along with Xena Warrior Princess.
It was instructional and funny.
It was. As
Because
all
now
good
I know
things
what to
should
do
be.
with the last joke.
Excuse me, I was drinking at the time. What do you do with the last joke?
The last joke always gets taped to the desk. Isn't that her thing?
Yes. I thought there was a punchline you were going for that. I was like, what does the last joke mean, Rick? I love that show. Obsessed.
If I know my lesbian talk show trivia, it's that the last joke gets taped to the desk.
Yep, indeed. Something not as fun as the talk show Rosie O'Donnell. Tupac Shakur was shot to death in 1996.
Biggie did it, right?
Well, I think Biggie
I don't know. Was
Biggie died before him or after him?
Doesn't
I think
mean Biggie
died
didn't do it.
Allegedly.
I don't know.
Not getting us in trouble.
Oh, right? Like we're in search. I know nothing about any of this. In fact, I was like 2 packs of what?
Oh. Anyway, NASA received the first images of Pluto that we've ever had. Was received in 1996. Yeah. It's
People
I
have
don't know
been
if you know
drawing it
this.
for years. What took them
If
so
you take
long?
photos of Pluto, you get tackled at Disney and they steal your camera.
I must have ate a lot of bad food when I was a kid because when I was a kid, I had a really difficult time with the difference between Pluto and Bluto.
Two pop culture icons.
Yeah.
Also, it was the 96 Olympics in Atlanta.
Remember
those?
how that turned out.
Whew. Did
you
you ever... Oh, go ahead. I think we were about to ask each other the
Did
same
you watch
question.
that movie?
Oh my God, I was asking the same thing. Yes, I did.
Did you like it?
I thought it was a good movie. Kathy Bates plays the mother in it. Love Kathy Bates. The guy who plays, I want to say Richard Jewell, but I don't know if that's right or not.
It's something, Jewel.
Yeah. That actor, because he was like making the awards circuit because he was on something like a miniseries or something. I'm sure he's a lovely person, but in the few times I saw him on award shows, he seems so obnoxious.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
More
and it really...
more so than Conan O'Brien.
Way worse than Conan, and it really killed my mood on supporting Richard Jewell.
It's interesting how, just a moment in somebody's life can affect your opinion of them in shows forever. I just find it so strange. Like there is this, and I'm not going to get into it, but we're going to talk about this movie later. And there's an actress in this movie that there's one moment of time that makes me not think that she's as incredible as everybody else does.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Anyway,
Do you want to say who it is? No, we're going to talk about it later.
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, it'll come up later, but I'm not going to tell you why.
Her name escapes me right now, but she was in the 50 Shades of Grey, and she was in the Madam Web movie.
Yeah.
She's the daughter of celebrity
Griffith. She's Melanie Griffith and Dakota Johnson.
Johnson. I find her obnoxious. Now, she may be a lovely person in her day-to-day, but every time she's on TV, she's so smug and annoying to people. And I was like, you're not better than anyone. Just because you had rich celebrity parents, you know better than anyone. Anyway.
She might be better than me. I don't know.
So that's what I had as far as tidbits. I do have...
I have a...
go ahead. Yes.
So because you're getting into movies and songs, right?
Yeah,
so this is just other news. Do you know, I just typed in what was the blank of 1996, and it just, so then it tells you like all these different categories of things, and then biggest news story of 1996. Can you imagine what that would be? Now,
I thought it would be the bombing at the Olympics.
Or there was a presidential election. No, this is what this says, the biggest news story of 1996.
Oh, there was a presidential election, though.
Yeah. Clinton won his second.
Against Bob Dole.
Yeah. Bob Dole didn't like that. Biggest news story. George Byrne dies.
I don't know if that's the biggest one. I don't know what website you're on. You're on George Burns.
It depends on what you think of the movies, and you think he actually was God. Then it's a big deal. That's true.
God.
Did you ever watch those? Oh God, you devil! God, I love those when I was a kid.
My mother's side of the family, and this may just be a made up memory in my mind, but for some reason I feel like my mom's side of the family really liked George Burns. I feel like they were big fans.
Caitlin, do you even know who George Burns is? No, old man with glasses,
always had
smoking a cigar.
And
Jesus Christ!
Oh,
Caitlin was born in
1996. There's another.
That's the
biggest
news
story.
That's the biggest news story.
Biggest news story.
Let's be real.
Just a couple of movies that were big. Oh, do you have more
one
tidbit?
more?
Oh,
one more tidbit.
I thought starting with the biggest news story.
Hottest toy of 1996.
Tickle Me Elmo.
Yep.
That was the Tickle Me Elmo year. Yes, I remember that.
Did you just know that?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Well, that was a huge deal.
But I know Cabbage Patch Kids were a big deal, but I don't know what year they
83.
were.
I don't know why things stick in my head the way they do.
You and I need to go on this Jeopardy.
The pop culture Jeopardy.
Pop culture Jeopardy. Somebody
I
told me about it.
And watched the trailer for it, and I was like, I could do that.
Yeah. Somebody told me hey, you guys should do this, and I meant to bring it up to you, and I just never did.
We should do it.
Or I did.
Season 2, I guess. They're already done with season 1. We'll see how the ratings go. I'm not going on some bomb show. Speaking of bombs, the Olympics.
Oh, not the biggest news story.
No, not. Some of the biggest movies, though. Scream came out in 1996.
Oh my God! And Skeet Ulrich is in that movie.
He sure
God,
is.
I think he's. Oh, I was so in love with him.
This was the summer of like the big disaster films. So you had Independence Day, you had Twister, The Rock, Mission Impossible, the first one, Mars Attacks. Very good summer.
Independence Day, I remember that just being the biggest deal.
Yeah, it was a huge deal.
Yeah.
Have you gone back and watched that movie?
Yeah.
The effects surprisingly hold up. The story does not. The whole Randy Quaid character.
So?
No, get rid of him.
Because I was gonna say that the graphics don't hold up.
For 96.
It's just this glowing green of and then when what dark then turns like a dark blue, and it's just weird. But at the time when they blew up the White House, I just remember that being the most amazing. But also sometimes graphics don't hold up, special effects don't hold up from this big screen to your TV.
Yeah. That's true. You might just have a really clear television screen.
loved that movie. I'm a big fan of it.
It's a good movie. Some of the...
You haven't mentioned the 2 greatest movies to come out yet. But there's 4 that I have, other ones that are good.
Well, I have the award contenders that year were Fargo, The English Patient. Fargo is one of the greatest movies ever made. Jerry Maguire and Evita.
Jerry Maguire.
Which won Madonna a Golden Globe.
Good for her. She probably deserved it.
I mean,
and they do that nice thing for actors at the Golden Globes where they take musicals and comedies out of the Best Picture nomination.
Yeah.
And give them a different award. I'm just kidding.
What were the movies you said the 2 best movies of the year?
Did you say Twister already?
Yeah, Twister
Okay.
was listed with Independence Day and
Well, then
The
this
Rock.
is the best movie. Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, that did come out.
And Claire
Baz
Danes.
Luhrmann.
I loved Leonardo DiCaprio in this movie. I
Yeah.
was like a huge fan, but I never liked Shakespeare. I'm a theater major. Was a theater education major at some point, and then switched to theater. I took 3 theater lit classes in one semester, which basically means I had to read a play a day, and I hated Shakespeare. But this was the first time I saw Shakespeare and thought, oh, I like it. So if you just put,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's gonna hold up. I don't know if 1 year from now, people listening to this podcast, if I'm gonna be allowed to say that I had a huge crush on Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't know what his future is gonna be, but
I hope he doesn't do something that gets him canceled the next year. And now you're like, I love him so much. And they'll be
Well,
like,
that's what you know what it's gonna be, right?
that he only dates children?
Isn't he allegedly wrapped up in these white parties?
Oh, the Diddy parties?
Like he's
I don't know. He might. I mean, there's a list. There was a clip going around this weekend that I was watching on TikTok, and it was a clip from Ellen, and it says Ellen sitting there talking to kids who are like special needs kids and like missing limbs and stuff. And the little headline on it is this clip aged as well as milk. And she's like, I wish there was something I could do for you, but maybe he can. Come on out, Diddy. And Diddy comes out and starts hugging the kids. And I was like, oh, God.
That's a mess.
Bad clip.
That's a mess of a story. I hope that people whose names should be cleared get cleared, and the people who should be punished get punished. But it's just a messy story.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were going to say this because I did on Facebook or something. This thing popped up and it said, here's a clip and it said it was like somebody leaked a clip of one of the rooms in the party involving like Jaden Smith, Diddy, and
you clicked on it?
no,
Oh.
God, no.
Oh, God.
Jaden Smith, P. Diddy, and Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
And I was just like, no. I mean, for multiple reasons, no. I was like, there's no way this is real.
Yeah.
It might as well say that there's a prince in some country that needs me to hold all of his fortunes. I was like, there's nothing real about anything that's going to happen here.
Nothing good can come from Diddy.
No.
So the last thing is the top 5 songs from 96. I'll run from them 5 to 1.
Oh, God.
None of them are Diddy. Don't worry.
I'm so sad about one of them.
Mariah Carey's Always Be My Baby, which is a huge hit. That makes sense. That was there.
Do you ever listen to like Mariah Carey, like her songs from the 80s? Do you ever listen to them now? Or is she 80s or is she 90s?
More 90s, yeah.
But like at the end of all of them, when she's just like hitting notes out of this, like, what's the point? Like, no human being makes that sound.
No, just to show she can. Every one of her
guess
songs
so.
ends
It's like,
with,
you can't
here's my
cover
song.
this.
Now, here's a few notes that you'll never be able to hit. I forgot this song existed, but it was a good song. Nobody Knows by the Tony Rich Project.
Oh, I love that.
That's a good song.
Is that the, you gotta hum a few bars for me?
No.
Because there was a song by the Tony Rich Project that I listened to incessantly. Now, that was probably the only one, right?
I mean, I believe they were a one-hit wonder, so it's probably that one. But nobody knows it but me.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
There you go. That's all you get.
Did I ever tell you about Jen worked at a music store and people used to, for the kids, you used to have to go to a location and buy music to listen to on whatever devices you had. And Jen worked at one of these stores and people would come in and they're like, they was like, oh, yeah, do you have that? I'm looking for that song. I don't know who sings it, but I think it's called Nobody Knows. And Jen would be like, I'm not familiar with that. Can you sing a little bit of it? And then they would sing it. And then she'd be like, no, do you know any more? And just to get people to sing. And then she would say, she's like, oh, no. And she'd call a coworker over and be like, hey, do you know that? And they would have the person singing for everybody when they knew exactly what song it was.
Oh, that's wicked.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. We have a theme.
Yeah, and our theme is, just like promoting the movie, we have to say wicked every fifth word of our entire show.
We are just going to sit in that space.
In the wickedness.
In the wickedness. Number 3, one of my favorite favorite people, Celine Dion, Because You Love Me.
I love her. And that's from a movie about...
Up Close and Personal.
Love that movie.
Good movie.
Do you know why I love that movie?
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Because I love that song.
I love that song, and I love Michelle Pfeiffer.
And I did it. Did
Robert
you believe
Redford's okay
for
too.
1 minute that Michelle Pfeiffer and Robert Redford were a couple?
No. Number 2, One Sweet Day, Boyz II Men and Mariah Carey. And number 1, that actually, One Sweet Day was spent the most weeks at number 1 on the Billboard 100 and was unseated by Lil Nas X. Old Town Road. Unseated that.
Really?
Yeah, it was One Sweet Day
me.
was number 1 for 16 weeks. Old Town Road went 18 weeks. Maybe 19.
Is that the one that starts out, How Do I Say Goodbye?
The Mariah Carey one?
Yeah.
It's the one, where they're singing
her
about... I'm
Boyz
not
II
going to
Men.
sing it again. Do you
No.
Ken?
Is that one? Can you sing it for me? No, I just wanted to mention that there's that show that Sabrina does on Real Radio, the News Junkies.
Yeah.
And it's so bad, but every time they talk about somebody dying, and it could be like really new, and it could be this horrific murder or something, it doesn't matter. Whenever somebody starts talking about somebody dying, they start playing that song.
Oh, do they?
And it's like, I don't know if I'm supposed to laugh or not, but it's fine.
And then the number 1 song that just had a chokehold on the world.
Don't even say it.
The Macarena. My favorite Macarena clip is from the 96 Democratic Convention where they're doing it in the convention and Hillary Clinton is up like in the balcony and she's just clapping and swinging and her hair bob just going back and forth.
I love it.
Such a great clip.
I could live life. We don't have to do the whole dance over and over again. Sorry. All I see in the corner of my eyes, Caitlin, in the Macarena. I was like, I know that you were born in that year, but it's not something we enjoy. But anyway, clips of Hillary Clinton at conventions will fill my life with joy.
I love it.
Balloons.
Oh, the balloons.
I love the balloons.
That clip alone makes me...
I don't mean that in a bad way.
No,
I mean,
it just brings me joy.
Love to watch it. I want people to look at me like she looks at balloons.
So that's all I have as far as 96.
Yeah, that's a good wrap up. It was a good year. We managed to take 16 minutes to talk about that.
Next week should be a really good one because I graduated in 97. So we'll be talking about that.
Oh, I graduated college in 96.
Oh, well, there you go.
There you go. And look, maybe I should say I planted on in honor of.
Oh,
it was
very
Mars Hill
nice.
College at the time. It wasn't Mars Hill University, but cheers. Oh, and because of that hurricane that devastated Western North Carolina, they moved my theater reunion to like March, so I might go.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Like they do in high school, do they do when you graduate college, you have like a song? Like your class song?
I don't know.
I can't remember. I don't remember them doing it in college.
My departure from college, I don't know if I've gotten into this very much, but it wasn't the best.
Yeah.
I wasn't the best person at the time. See, I think that there's this thing for little LGBTQ people. Like maybe it's different now, but being my age, when you just didn't come out when you were a kid, then you didn't date people when you were a kid. So when you hit that age where you start dating, you're a lot older and you're an adult and you're expected to act like an adult, but you have no experience with relationships, so it's impossible to act like an adult. And so I was dating somebody. It was the first like real boyfriend I ever had. I felt madly in love. It was great. Oh. Well, he moved away to go to school in New York, and actually said these words when we broke up over the phone. I have bigger and better things to do. And that devastated me. He said that to you.
Me.
Yeah, he
said
that
I thought
to
you were
me.
saying you said that to him.
Oh God, no. So I was devastated, and then I hated everyone who doubted it would ever work, right? Because I had like somebody who said like, "Oh, enjoy this, because the first relationships are always the best, and you'll have many more." And I was like, no,
fuck
we're
you.
Gonna get
We're
married.
gonna get married and live forever.
We're gonna be together forever. And then it was like, oh, I've got bigger and better things. And I was like, oh, and I just kind of hated everything at that moment. Everywhere, it was like that cliche. I was like Ross in the first episode of Friends.
Oh yeah.
Every time I went somewhere, I'm like, oh, that's the place where we had breakfast that one time. And so I just wanted out.
Yeah.
And so I got out and I graduated a year early. and because I'd taken so many credit hours. So anyway, my departure was sort of like this "get me out of here" thing, and I think it left a bad taste in people's mouth that I work closely with on some projects and things like that. So I'd like to go back and let all that go.
I understand. Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that.
Sounds like your song for your graduating class was "One Sweet Day" by Mariah Carey and
I don't know.
Boyz II
Is there
Men.
a song called "Bigger and Better Things"? So no, I don't know.
No. All right.
But I don't think so. It's just weird too
Do you
because
remember what your high
all of
school
my
one
friends
was?
graduated at the normal time. So they're all like reunion. Their reunion's different than mine. It's just all weird.
Yeah.
I should never have left early, but I don't regret anything in life. I mean, I have a pretty good life right now.
Yeah.
Ask me in 2 months.
Well, we'll all be asking ourselves in 2 months.
Ask me from my prison cell in 2 months when we all get arrested.
Speak for yourself.
So anyway, on that happy note, did you? Okay, I have no doubt that Jeremy is going to sell us all out.
I will weasel my way out.
He's going to be he's going to be the informant that's going to make it. We're all going to get put in camps, and Jeremy's going to be the one like, sorry guys.
I have a very strong survival instinct.
I'm ex-military, so you all are going down.
I will lock you in my attic, Anne Frank style, and then I will be like, "They're here, they're upstairs."
Oh. Yeah, that meme that's like you've turned into the person that I wouldn't tell people where Anne Frank is hiding.
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell Jeremy.
Yeah.
Where that.
You shouldn't.
In fact, Jeremy,
You really shouldn't.
When we do our annual retreat, you don't need to be there.
When if you're heading up north, tell me you're heading out west.
So how was your week? Anything worth talking about?
It was a pretty light week. I didn't do a whole lot. Basically, I did spring cleaning this past weekend. It was nice and cool weather, so opened all the windows up for the first time since the sweltering summer and cleaned everything out. I put up my Christmas tree and
nice.
I built my little Lego winter village, so that was fun. I started rewatching Veep, which hits different now.
Oh, does it?
Than just a few weeks ago.
Aw.
I have no doubt that Kamala ran her campaign much like Selena Myers did in Veep. But it's a good show. I don't know if you watch Veep.
I did, and I want to watch it all the way through. I watched like the first couple of seasons.
Yeah.
When she was Veep.
Yeah.
But once she stopped being Veep, I think I stopped watching it.
Oh, it gets so good. I mean, like, just bad good. Like, they turn into horrible people. It's so good. But you should check it out. Something else, speaking of bad people who are so good. Army Hammer launched his new podcast, and I am obsessed with it.
Is it called, like, Eating Out with...
No, it's called Army Hammer Time.
No.
I swear to God. And the tagline on it is, I'm going to screw this up. I should have written down, but like nobody was eaten during the process of making the podcast or something. They like lean into the fact that people thinks he's a cannibal. But he had his, the guest that he's had on so far, I think he's done like 5 episodes. He's had his mom on. He's had a defense attorney on. He's had his best friend on. And he's had Tom Arnold on.
Oh, of course.
And
of course Tom Arnold did
it's
it.
crazy, and it's like watching a car wreck, but it's just so good. His mother on there, she's super, super religious, and Army Hammer is not. So them going back and forth about how she thinks there's like divine intervention and shit, and then him giving her evidence of it not being divine intervention cracks me up. But also, she revealed in her episode that for his birthday, she gifted him a vasectomy. A vasectomy. That's the right word, right? Snip the old boys. Yeah. Because she knows the type of person, I guess, now that he is, and doesn't want him out there accidentally knocking a woman up and then her coming for their fortune. So apparently he comes from a very wealthy family. Oh. So she said, happy birthday. You're going to get snipped. And he said, yes, mother.
The rich hammers.
Yeah. But it's so crazy. He records them and puts them on YouTube. Just give them a watch. And I hate this because he's so weird and so crazy, but I'm so attracted to him.
Oh yeah.
I am so
Sometimes
attracted
that
to Armie
freak
Hammer.
factor is a powerful factor.
It is. Like I would go to a buffet with him.
That's saying a
All
lot.
meat buffet. But no, it's that's
I mean, hopefully, like not at his house.
I don't know what kind of mindset this puts me in, but
wouldn't-
I spent all week.
Hey, it's a potluck buffet style. Come on over. No, thank you.
I mean,
What's the truth behind all
he's
that
like
anyway?
6'4". He can gnaw on a finger if he wants.
Jared, I feel like our audience is learning so much about you this episode.
Anyway, I'm looking at my notes. That is all I did this week.
Oh.
I watched Veep, I cleaned my house, and I listened to
Hey, it's
Armie Hammer's
okay.
Hammer
That's
Time.
why we talked about 1996 for 21 minutes because we we didn't have busy weeks.
No,
It's
no.
okay.
I mean, Thanksgiving's coming up in a few
Yeah.
days, so we'll have lots to talk there. I'm going up to Georgia to spend Thanksgiving with 99% of the Trump voters in my family, so it should be fun.
Sweet. Well, I think we just watched a movie about you then.
Oh my God. Watching that, I was like, dear God, please don't let my Thanksgiving be like this.
Jesus. All right. Anyway,
How was your week?
it was fine. It was fine. I had an appointment to see. I just write down butt doctor. Sorry, a
Proctologist.
I don't even know if that's what it was. A digestive whatever.
It's for colonoscopy type
Yeah.
stuff? Yeah, it's a proctologist. It's all the same doctor.
They just doesn't say proctologist. Do you think that's because they changed it because it has a certain connotation? Anyway,
I don't know. Maybe.
I just I get this call and it's like, oh hey, you need to get a colonoscopy. So I'm like, okay.
Like because you were past due or with something.
I think it's because I
like
got
they
one.
found a lump and
I
they're
got
like, get it looked into.
I got one in 2020.
Oh,
and
okay,
he
then
said
it's
like
fine.
you need to follow up in 3 years, and I just didn't because like here's what I think. I think that doctors should talk to each other because like if you order something through a doctor that you told me to go to, then that doctor should tell you what the results of that thing were.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
then when it's time for me to go again, you should tell me, hey, it's time for you to go again. And that didn't happen until now. And so I went there. Which is so weird that you have to make an appointment to go and sit down for them to just say, literally, this is my appointment because I begged them not to make me go. I was like, just schedule the colonoscopy and let's get it done before the first because our insurance resets on the first. And I'm like, if I get it done now, it's going to cost me $200. If I don't, it's going to be $1,200. So let's just get this done now. And so they wouldn't schedule it. Like, you have to come in. You have to see the doctor. And I'm like, okay. So the doctor comes in after like... Oh, it's what an experience. But anyway, I go in there and I sit down and the doctor comes in and he goes, any problems? And I was like, no. And he goes, okay, well, let's get that scheduled. Legit, not lying. That's a conversation I had with them. And I just laughed.
He didn't even like check you out?
No, I kept my pants on the whole time. Mom would be proud.
I can't get behind a
Also,
doctor's appointment where you don't take your pants off.
I don't know how, it's only been 4 years since I went. But I'm pretty sure this doctor looked different than I just, sometimes.
Like it's been a rough year and he's aged or?
Like, he looks like somebody I probably saw 30 years ago.
Oh.
You know what I mean? He just walked in like Joe Biden. Like, oh, let's get this done. I was like, are you still doing these? Do you have some assistance that you're getting? So anyway, but luckily they scheduled it like right away. So I'm going tomorrow to get it done, which is why we're recording a little early today because when we're normally recurring, I'm drinking the stuff. For anybody that's had one of these knows you drink the stuff and it makes you do things, and so I'm trying to get out of here.
Yeah. Have you started?
No, at 3
okay.
o'clock. My alarms start going off at 3. And so I just would rather be at home for all of that.
Of course.
So I'm on a liquid diet and I'm drinking Red Bulls. So if I'm a little weird, that's probably why.
Ooh, when mine comes up, I'm going to have to switch to white wine that week. Because you can't drink red wine like a week beforehand.
Oh, really?
Anything red will make it look like you're bleeding in your intestines.
The thing they told me was like...
No red Jell-O, no red Gatorade.
It's just the 2 days before my thing said to stop doing things. It's different every time you go.
I have issues, I don't want to say cancer because it's not cancer yet, but like precancerous issues down there. So every year I have to go be evaluated, and they have me like stop a week in advance. I also was informed that I will have to stop Ozempic like 2 weeks before because they were like, you can't have any kind of slow moving nothing down there when we're in there.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's got to be moving normal speed. So you got 2 weeks before, you got to come off that shit. I was like, all right.
Come off that shit.
But that's good that you're getting that done. More people need to get that. That anal rectal colon cancers are the most preventable if you get them early enough.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely important to do. It's just super expensive. So, but I'm glad it's working out.
Is
way.
it?
So then I did that on Tuesday.
Mine are free.
We all pay for yours, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
thank
fine.
you. I thank you all. I mean, I pay taxes. I pay a little bit of it.
Yeah. I pay for my neighbor's kids to go to school. I pay for you to get your butt looked at. It's all good.
And we thank you. And my butt thanks you.
All right. So then the next day I went to St. Pete because Dylan had his studio opening in St. Pete, which is really nice. It was good. I learned something very valuable there. I'm weird.
Yeah?
I'm awkward, and I'm really bad at small talk. So, and especially
always or since COVID? Because I've noticed a lot of people since COVID and everybody was locked up that small talk is hard for people.
I think it's with people that I'm not really familiar with. I have a really hard time with small. Well, no, because there's somebody I was telling you earlier. I read into somebody that we both know very well, and the conversation was like, "So, how's it going? Good. How about you? Good. So things are good."
That's what I'm saying. Nobody knows how to small talk anymore since
it's
COVID.
It's just so weird. But like, so we're sitting there talking, and I don't know why. Have I ever talked to you about Boob Bridge?
Boob Bridge?
Yeah.
No.
So this is, I mean, this so if you know, I feel like I should give warnings. Like, this is going to be me telling stories about drunk driving. So if that offends you, please stop listening for 15 seconds.
Also, don't drink and drive.
Yeah, so don't drink and drive. I'm not recommending it. I'm just saying, like, we would go out to drink. So, you know, where, like, is it Langford Park, near where our offices used to be? And then there's, like, Washington Street, and then that park goes under.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's this area underneath it, and there's that bridge over top.
Langford, yeah.
And it's like and there's like it's cobblestones
where
so
we
there's
did that
dips
cleanup.
in it. Yeah. So it's like, but this is where it goes all up to Washington Street, and it's like goes under the road, and there's a bridge there, and it's so that bridge, like I used to live on Washington Street, so we'd drive down that bridge after leaving the bar, but we would drive at like, you know, it's a 35-mile-an-hour zone, and we would drive down at like 65 because when you hit it, you go boom. And Jen, when we're in the back seat, you know, and she's a very
busty woman.
Yeah, she got a stack. So, but it would hit that thing and boom, 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 and we would laugh, and then I'd turn around and do it again, and then we turn around and do it again at like 2 a.m. So yeah, not really smart, but that's just why we would call it that. So here we are at this event for Dylan, and he's got this wall of all of these pictures, and somebody who's from St. Pete looked at one of the portraits he did of one of Watermark's clients who did it at underneath that bridge, and the guy's like, "Oh, I know where that is. That's this bridge." And then I'm like, "Yeah, that's Boob Bridge." And then everybody's like, "Boob Bridge?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "I can tell by your reaction I should keep going, so I'm going to tell you the whole story."
Oh, and did you?
Yeah, I sure did.
Oh, no.
And I just got a couple of awkward looks, like, okay. And then I was like, so then I went and found his friend Tina, and I was like, "I'm bad at small talk. Will you talk to me?" But then we also talked to somebody else, and I thought this was interesting because we haven't said the word in a few minutes. I'm going to say it. Wicked. Did you ever read the book?
I bought the book.
Okay.
I never got around to reading it.
Okay. Caitlin, have you read the book, Wicked? Okay. So we're talking to somebody about how we can't wait to see the movie, and that their family loved the Broadway show and blah, blah, blah. But then she said that she was reading the book, but that it got really vulgar.
Yeah, I've heard that it's a much more adult book than the musical.
Like, what would be an example of something?
I think someone fucks the goat. I don't know.
Holy shit. Let me add that to my Kister real quick.
I mean, maybe they do. I don't know. I haven't read the book, but I've heard that it's more adult. Like, there's more language, there's more violence.
Oh, so just
there
cussing.
Might be sex. I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know the specifics.
Oh, okay. Well, so anyway, she stopped reading it because of that. But I guess that it kind of made me interested in reading it. So anyway, but it was a very successful event, which is really nice.
Nice.
Then we had the Tampa Gala, the Equality Florida Tampa Gala, which we went to. Yeah, and they spared no expense at that thing. I'm just gonna say that looked like a king and queen were getting married. But I love going to those because anytime I can hear Nadine Smith speak, it makes me happy. So that was really good. And then I pulled out the Christmas decorations. Got a holiday party coming up, so that was that.
Time of year. It's going to be all pretty and decorated.
It's going to be decorated.
All right.
It's going to be ready. I have no idea how I'm going to get through the next 2 weeks of my life. I just don't know how it's going to happen.
Why?
There's so much going on.
Oh, because there's so much. Yeah,
I
didn't know if there was something specific.
I have if I showed you my calendar, it's ridiculous. Like everything. I have this colonoscopy tomorrow, and then after the colonoscopy, I have to make cakes and icing, and then Wednesday I'm making Thanksgiving food, the sides. I'm going to make all of that. So then Thursday is Thanksgiving, and then Friday I have to drive out to St. Pete and then finish decorating. Friday and Saturday, because we have to go out and buy poinsettias and stuff like that. That's the pretty part. We're gonna make it pretty. Yeah. And then I have to come back here to do the podcast. Right now, a Sunday we're going to Disney because we're going to
Epcot for the festival.
Yeah, and then
holiday festival.
And Monday we do the
podcast.
Yeah. And then I have to drive. Oh, and then it's because Casey Musgraves Monday night as well.
Casey Musgraves.
So then after that concert, I have to drive to St. Pete because then I have to make cakes and cookies on Tuesday and Wednesday for the party,
which is on Friday.
And then I come back here Thursday to get the paper out, and then go back there, and then have the party on Friday. I think that's a pretty busy week, and somewhere in there, I have to work and create things for all these cohorts that we're involved in. It's just a very busy time.
Indeed. Just pace yourself, breathe.
Yeah, and but I'm going to lose a lot of weight today, so I'm excited about that.
That's always good.
So Thanksgiving is coming up.
It's a couple of days away.
And Jeremy said, I know, because we're like, let's do a Thanksgiving movie. I don't think we did one last time.
No.
We just did a bunch of Christmas movies.
There ain't a whole lot of Thanksgiving movies.
Jeremy said, I know the perfect Thanksgiving movie, and it's a good one. Let's do it.
Yeah. I must say, I have not seen this movie in 20 years. So me saying it's a good one was based off Jeremy 20 years ago seeing this movie probably while he was drunk.
Yeah.
I just want to preface that by saying I was probably drunk.
Or maybe it was like Jeremy 20 years ago that just liked to...
I mean, 20 years ago, I was 25. I was a very different person than I am now.
You just like to watch people in misery.
Not that I don't like it now, but I really liked it back then.
Or I think sometimes I watch a movie that Jeremy said to watch, and I'm like, is he still getting me back for Naked Boy Singing? I mean, haven't you won that game tenfold? So, Home for the Holidays.
Home for the Holidays. A lovely 1995, I want to say, comedy directed by the one and only Jodie Foster.
I just want to say, Dylan was 4 years old when this movie came out.
Oh, was he? Caitlin wasn't born yet.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
So let's just say, I'm just going to ramble off the cast real quick. Jodie Foster directed it.
Yep.
So here's the cast. Holly Hunter.
Robert
Downey Jr.
RDJ is what he goes by these days.
Yeah, I just want you to know how my brain works right now, and I just went off into this whole like trying to make an entire sentence out of nothing but letters to say that our RDJ like was at KFC, BRB, like all these things are running through my head. It's crazy. Anne Bancroft,
love her. Married to Mel Brooks for years until she died. Yeah.
Dylan McDermott,
yeah.
Charles Durning. Claire Danes.
Very young Claire Danes. This is pre-Romeo and Juliet.
Yes.
Yeah, year before.
Cynthia Stevenson. Now, Cynthia Stevenson, remember I was telling you about her the other day?
Yeah.
She was the mom in Jennifer's Body. Yeah. So look at that cast.
You forgot one. The Goot. Steven Gutenberg.
Oh, how could I forget
the Goot?
I mean, how could I forget? I can't believe after the success of Police Academy, how he didn't even need to keep doing anything.
No. But he was like, you know what? I'm going to go against type, and I'm going to play a dick.
Yeah, he said, you know what? I'm tired of being the lovable person that people go to see, and I want to be the most obnoxious, horrific character that has ever been put in a movie.
Well, I take that back. He is my second to least favorite character in this movie. My least favorite is the daughter.
The daughter.
The little girl.
Did you look her up? No. That little smug face has been in another movie that I've had to watch. Like, was it Home Alone or something? She plays an obnoxious sister in something.
She's very good at what she does.
I want to find out that she's like the president of like Moms for Liberty or something. Like that's what she. Anyway, you look at that cast and you say this has got to be an incredible movie.
Now, I don't know who she is, but she's got like 400 credits. But Geraldine Chaplin plays Aunt Gladys.
Yes.
She was in the original Dr. Zhivago, I read. But she's been in like hundreds of things. She's like a well-respected actress. And something I did not anticipate when I looked her up today, she is still alive.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, she's 80. But
she's younger than Joe Biden.
I was like, this movie was what, 40 years ago? 30 years ago? So she was 50. They must have done like makeup or something because she looks old in that movie.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
And
they aged her up.
And she plays senile, so it makes it easier to believe that she's that age. So you look at this and you say, like, she must be rich. You think about the royalties. Or maybe she wasn't signing contracts that gave her royalties back then.
Maybe she just loves to work.
Good for her. So, anyway.
Remember those days when you used to love your job and you want to do it all the time?
I love my job right now.
That's what I was hoping to hear.
I want to do more of it. We're going to, you know what? You heard it here first. We're going to go weekly.
And we're going to, with the podcast, we're going to go daily. Do one of these every day.
We're going to do a morning show every morning.
Oh, yeah. It's home for the holidays.
Starting tomorrow. Yeah. Everything in this adds up that this should be an incredible movie.
Yeah. I mean, Jodie Foster directing it.
Yeah.
This stacked cast. A holiday movie.
Yeah.
How do you fuck up a holiday movie?
How do you fuck it up?
Well,
let's find out.
All you have to do is ask Jodie.
Now, I mean, I'm just imagining like maybe they just all showed up and did a bunch of drugs and said, do whatever you want.
Yeah. Now, what I will say is there are some good things about this movie. But one thing, like the number one thing that is not good is the script or lack thereof. I don't think that they had a script for this movie because the entire movie is them rambling on about nonsense.
It's chaos.
Yeah.
From the very beginning, when she's walking into work, she's chaotic.
And she giggles and smiles and throughout the entire movie. It doesn't matter if it's a serious scene or she's just like...
I just don't even understand. This is Holly Hunter, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I get her confused with Deborah Winger a lot.
No, but I mean, Holly Hunter is an Academy Award-winning actress. The piano...
She's Little Miss Firecracker.
Yeah. She was in The Firm, I think.
Oh, yeah. She was good in that. Yeah.
Yeah. She got an Oscar nomination for The Firm.
I got bizarrely excited about that. Oh, yeah. I like her a lot.
I love her.
And she's also in that series that just ended. The one about the Republicans running the news. What? Succession.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, she was in last season. Last two seasons of that. She's great. Yeah. So anyway.
Not in this, though.
Not in this. Sorry. No. Sorry, Holly.
I love you, but it's her choices. She giggles through the whole thing. She has a cold. One or the other. You're either Ms. Giggly or you've got a cold. Your character can't be all of things.
I think that all the sneezing wasn't a cold. I think she just did a lot of cocaine.
Oh, and that's why they wrote it in the script.
And that's why they wrote it. Well, no, I mean not Holly, the character. She just she was so frantic. Like she says
frantic. In the beginning that she has a cold.
She's so frantic, and then she gets fired from her job, and her reaction is to make out with a really old guy that just fired her.
Do you know who that guy is?
I do. Well, I mean, I saw him. He's the guy that I can never remember who he is when I try to tell people that I ran into him in New York. So I was walking down the street in New York, and I saw him and passed by him, and then I tried to describe to all the people I know who he was, and I couldn't.
Oh.
Because I was like, I think he was in a Muppet movie once, and I think...
He might have been.
Wasn't he?
He was in My Cousin Vinny. He's the stuttering lawyer.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like him.
So when he's like there and he's like...
He's the only normal person in this movie.
Yeah. And like in the beginning, he fires her because she works at a museum or something.
She refurbishes paintings.
So she works at a museum, and then he fires her because they're doing budget cuts. So she kisses him.
Right, she kisses him, then he apologizes and says, "I don't know why I did that." And I was like, "This is so."
I was like, "She leaned into you, all Miss Giggly, and
thanks for firing me."
It's weird. It's a weird opener, and it just gets weirder as the movie goes on.
I was kind of like, well, this is a weird start. Maybe it'll get better. No.
So she leaves the museum after being fired, and her daughter, Claire Danes, I don't know how old Claire Danes was when she filmed this, but she's 16 in the movie.
She's the most adult person in this family.
She's driving Holly Hunter, or Claudia is who Holly Hunter plays, driving Claudia to the airport to go. They live in Chicago. She's flying to Baltimore. Kit, who is Claire Danes' character, is not going with her. She is going to stay and have Thanksgiving dinner with her boyfriend. And as she's getting out of the car, Claudia, Kit informs her mom, by the way, I'm going to have sex with my boyfriend this weekend. And I just want you to know we're going to be very responsible and be very safe. And she just like smiley, and she's like, okay. And then the cop's like, move the car. And she's like, okay.
Yeah,
and I was like, everything's just so much happens in every scene of this movie. It gives me anxiety thinking about going home for Thanksgiving.
It reminds me, her telling her mom that she's going to have sex with her boyfriend reminds me of how I came out to my mom. It was like, my mom dropped me off to work, and I walked away, and then I turned around, and I was like, oh, here. And I threw her a note that said, I'm gay. And I went into work. Sorry, Mom. Didn't realize the chaos the next hours would be. Sorry.
So Claudia gets on the plane.
She gets on the plane, and
next to this lady who brought a fried chicken dinner and a hard-boiled egg.
I love that lady.
Come on.
She plays this character, like, and I've recognized her from movies, and she's always some quirky old lady. So I can deal with her. I like it.
She's like the lady who works at a front counter, or she's like your aunt, or the lady on the plane who eats a fried chicken dinner, which she didn't get from the airport, or I mean, she didn't get from the plane. It wasn't like they were serving meals. She brought it with her.
Right. So here's how this works, right? Because this is pre 9/11.
Yeah.
So, there's phones. There's like a phone on the plane, and she can bring her food in. And then when she lands, her whole family's waiting at the gate for her.
Okay, in the 90s, the first time I ever flew was ironically, 6 months before 9/11 when I joined the service. She, I don't know if maybe I just didn't notice where she pulled the phone from, but it looked like she pulled it from her bag. And it's a phone with a cord, and then she's leaning over the lady and plugging it into the seat. Was that a thing in the 90s? You brought a phone with you and you could plug it in? Or
I think it was already plugged in.
Oh, because she was doing something with the cord trying to hook it up, it looked like. I didn't know what was happening, but I never flew in the 90s, so I don't know.
There were phones. There was a phone, and it was in the row, and then people could grab it. And
that's very weird.
Yeah, it is.
Very odd.
90s were a weird time.
It sure was.
As this movie tells you.
So she lands in Baltimore. For some reason, I wanted to keep saying Bangkok, but she didn't go to Bangkok. She went to Baltimore. And her parents pick her up. Her mom, and I don't know if because I feel like I'm trying to think back of other movies I've seen with Anne Bancroft, and she smokes in every one of her movies. But she's rarely without a cigarette.
They're all either smoking cigarettes or joints in this movie.
So
always. I
don't know if she was just listen, Jody, I'm going to smoke. You don't care, do you? And she's like, no, whenever. And she's like, okay, thank you.
That was a good Anne Bancroft. I could listen to her all day.
Yeah. So she's smoking like a chimney. The dad is very overweight. And they comment about it on the movie several times. So I don't know if he's in a suit or if he's naturally just that big. I don't recall Charles During in anything I've seen him in where he was this big. It's like the whale big.
It was so he looked like I mean, I don't know how to describe this area of a person's body, but his stomach went to his knees.
Is that the fupa? Is that what that is? Yeah.
I was thinking front butt, but I didn't know I didn't know a polite way to say it. But it's like it's so large and it like goes to his knees. I just don't understand.
Yeah, I think that's got to be a fat suit because I mean, just like 2 years before this.
What would be the point of that?
I mean, other than
like
they make comments about how he's put a lot of weight on in the movie.
Yeah, but still, like, why would you go that big?
But just a couple of years before that, he was the police chief in Dick Tracy. And he was nowhere near that size. So I'd have to research.
Some medical thing.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not judging. We all been through it. But I mean, he was like he was getting ready to do the whale on stage. So they get back to the house and they get all settled in. There's this weird thing where, and this happens a couple of times throughout the movie, this family is way too close as far as getting into their underwear in front of everybody. So like she's in her bed, Claudia, and her mom comes in, she's talking to her, and she's taking her, getting down to her bra and panties.
Yeah.
While she's talking to her in the room, looking in the mirror, and I was like, can you?
And then there's this scene where Holly Hunter's in the shower.
And her mom's sitting on the toilet talking to her.
I was like, is she taking? No, she wasn't. But she was just
chatting with her. But even after that scene, she walks out, and then Robert Downey Jr., who's about to show up and plays the brother, comes in and rips the curtain open and starts taking photos of her. That's a crime. That is a crime. And then when he gets there that night, he has the camera and he's lifting her top up while she's in bed. It's just weird.
1995.
Families do not act like this.
No, and like, how are they so close?
But
so
not close.
I don't understand.
There's a word. Distant.
Yeah.
Why? How are they so close?
They
but
clearly
so
don't
distant?
like each other.
No.
I don't even know what even how to like to get into all of this. But it's like it's just such a weird movie because it's so negative and it's so frantic and it doesn't make any sense.
No, and everybody's always at each other. Nip, 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 nip.
Yeah.
But they're all like smiling and laughing. Like I can't tell what's serious or not. It's so ridiculous. But RDJ shows up. He plays Tommy. That's the brother. He has a friend, Leo, played by Dylan McDermott, which has Holly Hunter's character, Claudia, all kind of like, huh? Because he has a boyfriend, long-term boyfriend, Jack.
Right.
And she's like, I like Jack. What happened to Jack? And he won't tell her.
And you immediately assume that
they broke up.
That he's sleeping with this guy.
And that Leo is the new beau. And
by the way, might I just say that this character that Robert Downey Jr. is playing is the most obnoxious.
So obnoxious.
Like we're watching this because it's a gay character, right? And you just want to root for him, but you can't. You cannot want him to win. He's so obnoxious. It's almost like, I mean, this was probably filmed during the darker parts of his career.
Yeah.
And I just don't know how much his influenced this character. Or if Jodie Foster was like, yeah, this is good. Let's go with this. Like, I never want to hear that character speak.
It's interesting because you know who are like the three best friends ever? Jodie Foster, Robert Downey Jr., and Mel Gibson are like super close.
Oh, really?
Tight knit. Yeah.
They can't be closer than Glinda and
way closer.
And no, those two
their
are like
relationship
sewn
is
together
like a
now.
Hold my beer kind of situation where it's like, when all that shit went down with Robert Downey Jr. in the 90s, Mel Gibson took him in and he lived with him. And then when that shit went down with Mel Gibson went and stayed with Jodie Foster. Like they live with each other when they're going through their drama.
I want to dive into this because it's way more interesting than the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jodie Foster and Mel Gibson, they were in a movie together?
They were in Maverick together?
Yes. So then what's the connection with Mel Gibson and Robert Downey Jr.?
I don't.
Or is it Jodie Foster the connection?
Jodie Foster might have been the connection, but like when Jodie Foster was given the Lifetime Achievement Award at the Golden Globes, and you get to invite your table is your family, and then you get like 2 or 3 like really close guests that get to sit at the table with you. Jodie Foster chose Mel Gibson and
she got
Robert
a Lifetime
Downey
Achievement?
Jr.
When did that happen?
It's when she came out. At the Golden Globes, when she basically said she
got a Lifetime Achievement Award before all of these great things that she's done since?
Well, this was only about 10 years ago.
Yeah, but this movie, NORAD, that she just won an Oscar for.
She got a Lifetime Achievement Award before that.
I find that funny.
Yeah.
That usually Lifetime Achievement Award is for like the end of your career.
The Golden Globes go for big names more than people at the end of their careers.
Okay.
Meryl Streep has got one. Robert De Niro, Robin Williams, Tom Hanks, they all got them like 10, 15 years ago,
okay.
and they're still doing big movies. There's like big names there. But yeah, like the three of them. And then I read that when Robert Downey Jr. was going through his shit and that his friends were helping him out, that they taught him, said this in an interview, that they taught him about paying it forward. And that when Armie Hammer, when all that shit happened, Robert Downey Jr. gave him one of his houses to live in because he had no place to go. And he was taking care of them. Yeah. They're all in a little cabal together.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's all fascinating.
Yeah.
Now that is a movie I would
that's
watch.
a movie I want to see.
I want to see that movie. Can we just stick to the gay storyline of this one without going through the whole rigmarole?
That's not gay.
I mean, because clearly neither of us liked it. So.
No, it was not a good movie. That's not gay. Oh, Joanne, the hateful sister, shows up. She's anti-gay. Her husband is Steve Guttenberg. He's anti-gay.
Oh, God, Steve Guttenberg's so obnoxious in this movie.
The little boy seems fine. Like, he wants to play with his uncle, and And then they make like 2 turkeys for Thanksgiving because Joanne has to bring her turkey, and then the mom made her turkey. So when the kids want to eat on mom's turkey, she's like, no, you can eat my turkey. Like, what kind of dysfunctional people are these?
Yeah. I mean, I know, though, hosting Thanksgiving, some people have traditions, and they have to have their traditions, and that's okay. I did write this down, and I know it's not gay. I just noticed that when they picked up Aunt Gladys, and she gets in the car and she just farts. She has a little look on her face like, Oh, I love it. Aunt Gladys is a trip. So
Aunt Gladys is in love with the dad. I do want to point that out.
Yes.
They have prayer before the dinner, and then like Aunt Gladys does like this singing prayer thing, and then after the parents each say a prayer, Aunt Gladys goes into this long diatribe about how she's been in love with the dad.
Yeah.
Since she first met him.
And so she's kind of losing her mind, but so is the dad. He's he's like early onset kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And so the mom just like lets it all happen around her, and she's like, whatever, it's just the way life is.
Oh, he's also got a bad wrist, so she won't let him do anything, won't lift anything. So she asked Tommy to carve the turkey. And honestly, I had to pause it because I was getting so frustrated with him, the way he was hacking at this turkey.
Yes.
I had to pause it and center myself because I was getting pissed off at this fictional character as he's just like hacking the turkey, and I just wanted to scream at the screen. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Nobody's that bad at carving a turkey.
No, and he's doing it to be just obnoxious.
Down, and I apologize for bringing it. I won't mention the name, but I'll say watching him carve that turkey was like watching a former employee of Watermark cut a birthday cake.
Oh, yeah.
It was so ridiculous.
And while he's hacking it up,
but the father was, when he was trying to cut the turkey too, he was. He had the knife upside down. It was like, stop it.
The entire movie is just rage bait, is all it is. So Tommy's hacking at this turkey. Claudia keeps laughing and sneezing and laughing and then sneezing. And then, I don't know if you saw this part, but then she leans into Leo and like flicks her tongue at him. And I was like, what are you doing, girl? The fuck are you doing? What is wrong with you? At this point, you think he's gay. You think he's your brother's gay boyfriend, and you're like leaning into him, flicking your tongue at him. Grow up.
So the big gay conflict here is it happens at the dinner scene, right? And so it all comes out where Jack is, Tommy's friend, and it comes out that Tommy married Jack in a ceremonial on the beach in wedding Boston thing with their friends around, and
none of the family was invited.
I couldn't tell like what the mother was so upset about. Was she upset that she wasn't invited, or was she upset that her son got married to a man and they're heathens?
Because I mean, it feels like they all know that he's gay, and they all know that he's with Jack. But I think it's. Like they're like, okay, we can deal with him being like where he's gay, okay. but the fact that they got married seemed to upset them.
Yeah.
And I can't tell if it was, like you said, if that they didn't get invited or that, yeah, you can be a queer, but don't be ruining our marriage institution.
The father's reaction was like, did you wear a dress? And the sister was like, she like was genuinely, it's just such a different time.
Yeah.
Where the sister's like genuinely yelling at him, like, how could you
embarrass us?
I
have friends in Boston.
I have friends in Boston that saw you and they're calling me and like, it's terrible. And how dare you? And she was calling him a pervert and all this stuff. And he was just sort of like, I mean, I guess this is what we did back then is like when somebody called us a pervert, we were just kind of like, yeah, sorry. You know, like, I don't even know what the, like, it's such a foreign concept to me now that like why would anybody like apologize for any of that? So just very weird. So then she gets mad. Oh, but this is kind of funny. So during this whole tirade, she's mad. Tommy's cutting the turkey and he ends up pushing it into her lap. And then like how dumb are these people? Like they try to pick the turkey up, but they pick it up.
Two people to lift the turkey
right,
up.
It's not that big.
And then they pour
dump all the juice on her.
I feel like that was done on purpose.
They lift it up and they go behind her and lift it over, like instead of putting it in front of her.
That had to have been on purpose.
So then she's just soaking in the turkey juices and she's
soaking
mad
in those juices, you bitch.
She's a terrible person. Terrible. And so she's horrible. And then she gets up and runs away. And so now it's like dinner is ruined, and everybody's going to their separate corners. And so Steve Guttenberg and the angry child and the angry wife get and leave.
Yeah.
And
well, first they're playing football and they get in a fight, and that's what makes them leave. So then Jack calls and the dad answers the phone. He's like, oh, hey, Jack. And then the one nice thing that the family does for the gay guy, and he's like, congratulations.
I do get the sense that the father was fine with it.
Yeah.
He just didn't want his son to wear a dress, which he didn't, so it's all fine. But he, the father seemed to give some sort of speech that was just like, you know, people should stop harassing the kid about being gay.
Yeah.
Did you get that sense?
I got the sense that he accepted it.
Yeah. That he, okay.
Yeah.
But the only one who really accepted Tommy is Gladys. Claudia.
Yes.
Claudia.
Gladys was in her own world. She probably loved the gays, though.
Yeah, I imagine so, yeah.
Yeah.
You get that vibe from her.
The only part I want to mention here, because Gladys they need to take Gladys, the old lady, home. So Tommy's like, I got things to do. So Claudia, take my keys, and you and Leo take her home, because he wants them to spend time together. Kind of trying to fix them up. So they drop Gladys off and they go to take the leftovers back to Joanne's house. And Claudia goes in there to apologize, and Joanne's just being a total bitch to her, and basically tells her that because Claudia's like, we're family, you know, we fuck with each other, or we say stupid shit, and then we apologize. And she's like, if we weren't family and you gave me your number on the street, like to hang out or whatever, I would throw your number away. And I'm like, what? And that's it. They leave. And then there is no closure. It's just like, oh, you're a bitch. You treat your family like shit.
Right. And she cries for like the annoying sister cries for like 3 seconds, and then she collects herself and then goes right back to what she was. So like you were making a choice to be that obnoxious person. And I just have no sympathy for that.
Yeah. I that whole family, that little girl running around, and she's all like, look at me. I'm my mom's daughter.
The way that Holly Hunter treated that little girl made me so happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she's obnoxious. They're all obnoxious.
Oh, brat.
It is a little weird to me too that Tommy is pushing so hard to create a situation so that his friend can,
bone his
sister. It's so weird. It's like, hey man, I'm gonna leave so you can do my sister.
Yeah. He's like, hey, I've got photos. She's got a banging body. You're gonna want to get that.
I'm lucky that my family gets along. But my takeaway from this movie, see, they try to redeem it though a little bit. At the end, they play a bunch of clips of the family's memories, having a good time together, and all this stuff to just be like, oh, it's your family.
It's
you
family.
You have your ups
That's
and downs.
Just how family
no,
is.
That conversation between the two sisters, that is not family.
No.
And I don't know why anyone would go to a Thanksgiving if that was their family.
Yeah.
Why did Tommy go? He had way more fun on the beach. with his
Yeah.
chosen family than that. Like, why subject yourself to that? I need them to. They need to do a new version with like today's time, and let's just see where everybody is now. I will watch that. I will watch that one.
I don't want to watch that movie.
I mean, it's just as long as there's a script this time. So here we go. What do you think? Are we good to move on?
Yeah.
What do you think? How many grapes would you give this?
I'm going to give it a half a grape. I hated this movie. I don't even know what Jeremy 20 Years was thinking about wanting to rewatch this shit.
It was torture.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy this.
I mean, it's one of the worst movies we've reviewed.
I'm gonna say I wish that we had a list of like what we gave other things because I want to compare it because it's definitely like on the same level as Naked Boy Singing.
Yeah.
And so I guess if we gave that a half, this would deserve a half. But if I gave that a 1, I would give this a 1. I mean, it wasn't. I'm never gonna watch this
Ratings
again.
are based on that, not just what we watched, but the time and moment that we reviewed it.
So,
and in this time and moment, this is half.
Good half. What do you think Rotten Tomatoes was?
Nobody's gonna like this movie. Nobody. Rotten Tomatoes, 42% from critics, 52 from audiences.
What did we watch the other day that was like 20 something and we were in shock? I forget
remember
what that was. No, this is 64 critics, 72 audiences. And now you know that these are people that have gone back and watched it because Rotten Tomatoes didn't exist.
They're wrong.
I think people were just appreciating the nostalgia of it and the whole idea that, hey, family's family, even if you have a rough time here and there. But
also in the 90s, Jodie Foster did no wrong when it came to critics. Jodie Foster could have shit in a bag and then given it. But this didn't exist
in the 90s, Rotten Tomatoes. Like, people have to...
No. Well, what they do is when Rotten Tomatoes does it, like, there's not as many reviews, but there was still Variety and Hollywood Reporter and Entertainment Weekly magazines. They'll curate those reviews, but they'll also pull reviews from people who, like we do, go back and look, reread it or rewatch it.
There were thousands of reviews for this.
Yeah, well, most holiday movies will because they go back and rewatch it every year.
Oh, goodness. I mean, there are some holiday movies that are worth watching every year. This is not one of them.
No.
So we did that, and then we decided to do something super new and relevant.
And fresh. We went and watched Wicked in theaters.
Sorry about that, everybody. I didn't know if I was in a Target or at that Target commercial. I'm done with it.
Yeah.
No more Target commercial.
I think that's smart.
I'm just gonna throw this out there. I'm gonna have an unpopular take on this film, but it all stems from this thing that I think anyone with eyes and ears can agree with. The promotion for this movie is over the top.
Oh my God.
You've got to stop with it. If I hear that riff at the end of that song one more time, I'm going to throw something. I'm going to throw a post-it.
Too many product
it's
promotional arrangements.
And then you go to the movie theater to see this, and the 45 minutes before the movie. I mean, so the screen came on. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but it came on like right at 7 when the movie was supposed to start, and I feel like the movie didn't start until like 7:45. And so
there was
like,
easily 30 minutes worth of commercials and trailers.
Like there were no trailers for me. There were
have
commercials.
Any trailers?
There were like, and they played that Chevy commercial like 3 times. They played the Target commercial a couple of times, and then they had the 2 leads doing Wicked trivia throughout the thing.
What theater did you... Oh, you went and saw this at Epic.
Yes.
I saw it at Regal, and Regal does the 20 before the movie starts, which is like all the commercials. And there was probably 5 or 6 Wicked tie-ins in those. There's that stupid Regal one where they dance in the lobby, and then they show the popcorn bucket, which is so obnoxious. I hate it. And then we had probably 7 or 8 trailers before the movie.
See, I need to go to Regal then. Sorry, Epic. You ruined the movie for me because it was so much. It was so...
Do you know how my Wicked experience started? Standing in line, waiting to get popcorn, and 2 women and their child in front of me, taking 20 minutes to decide which Wicked popcorn bucket they wanted. And they're like, do you have this one? And she's like, oh, no, we're sold out of that one. And she's like, I can't believe they're sold out of it. And she's like, well, we have this and this. I really wanted this one, or I wanted that one. Well, they don't got it, bitch. So get your popcorn and get out of the way. For 20 minutes, I had to listen to them talk about grown women who look like they were probably in their late 40s or early 50s, talking about what stupid light-up popcorn bucket they wanted.
So the thing about Epic, you redeemed yourself, Epic. It's all self-serve. Like you walk up and you grab the thing, and then you go and you check yourself out.
Did they have fancy Wicked
they had
popcorn buckets?
Three options.
What'd they have? Not that I'm collecting. I'm just curious
like,
about. There's just so many buckets.
I am not a middle-aged woman looking for a popcorn bucket, so I didn't even pay attention.
Oh.
One had some green on it. One had some black on it.
Now
one had some white on it.
There's one that's like a Wicked lantern that lights up. And I almost bought that. It was really cool.
I don't think any of these did. I looked at them this long. Dylan said, "Should I get one of the buckets?" And I said, to throw it away in 3 months when we don't use it? No.
Oh no, the Wicked lantern was pretty cool. And then they had a metal tin bucket with a gladiator helmet. That one, I almost bought that one too, because the helmet comes off and you can wear it. Anyway, I glicked this weekend. Glick is where you see Gladiator 2 and Wicked. So I glicked this weekend. It's a good weekend.
Congratulations.
It's good glicking. So the movie, I think most people are familiar with Wicked. It's super popular and it's everywhere. So I think most people know the basic story of it. It's the behind the coming of age. The what's the word I'm looking for? It's a movie
origin story.
It's an origin story for the witches.
Right.
It
tells the story. It basically gives you the point of view of the Wicked Witch of the West.
Yeah.
We all know that she tortures Dorothy and her friends, and then she's mad because her sister got crushed by a house, and she's evil and does all this. So this is sort of like, well, this is how we got to this point, and it's behind the scenes.
This is credited for this whole boom over the last 20 years of where we get villain origin stories where they're sympathetic.
Oh, really?
Like Maleficent and Cruella. This musical started off they're a bad guy, but they're just misunderstood.
Well, for me, this is the only one where it works.
Yeah. I mean, the first Maleficent was okay. I didn't hate it.
I didn't watch it.
Oh my God, it's really good. You should. It's not bad.
Sorry.
I hated Cruella. I love Emma Stone, but I hated Cruella.
It's because, again, I am full of unpopular opinions, but I'm not a fan of Angelina Jolie. And it has to do
Team
with
Aniston?
Girl Interrupted.
Oh, I thought it was because of Jennifer Aniston.
Oh, I am Team Aniston for sure. But no, I mean, she can't help it. Hey, listen, if there's like a divorce and there are three people involved, and when somebody gets divorced and moves on to somebody else, and it is not one person's doing. So I'm not going to blame Angelina Jolie for that. So
I don't know if you want to go scene by scene with this one. Probably not. But I do have some interesting things that I thought was kind of cool.
Well, I have points to talk about, and you'll have points to talk about.
But it opens with the Universal logo from 1939. So I thought that was kind of a cute touch.
I will say this about the movie, that it does a lot of throwbacks to the original time frame and like the original set, and I do like that they didn't use a lot of CGI. They actually
there's a lot of natural, and because
I like that.
They use a lot of natural sets, they're probably going to win production design at the Oscars.
There's like that whole that scene where like there's like in Munchkinland where there's a circle that the Yellow Brick Road comes, or wherever that is.
My first complaint about the movie: there's probably like 100 Munchkins, and I only counted 9 Munchkin houses. How are they all living in because it's just the houses in the circle?
They're Munchkins.
But there's no depth. There's no houses behind them.
If you can fit 35 clowns
Do they live underground?
in a mini.
Do Munchkins live underground?
I don't know.
But there were not enough houses. That was my first complaint in the beginning.
So Munchkinland has a housing crisis?
Yeah, it seems so, yeah. I just kept thinking there should be more to Munchkin.
Well, if they're looking for a plan, I know one that's not being put to use right now. Too soon?
I did like the
That one
colorful
hurt.
rows of the tulips where the kids are running through. You know, they planted all of that.
That's really cool. That
Those
was
are
cool.
all. They planted like 60,000 tulips just to film that scene.
I did enjoy the opening. I may have missed the following 60 minutes,
Yeah.
but I did enjoy the opening.
Somebody sniffing the poppies.
I got up at 6:30 that morning to drive to Orlando to mow the yard and get it ready for Thanksgiving, and then I played a softball game, and then I went to Chewy's and I ate more calories than I've had in 2 months.
Oh, I love
And then I
Chewy's.
went and sat down to watch this 500-hour movie with a bucket of popcorn, and where I'm laying back in a seat because I won't go to the theater where you have to sit up. So yeah, I nodded off for a bit.
All right, that's fine. No judgment.
So in all of my everything I have to say about this movie, I mean, maybe I fell asleep because I was tired of all the freaking commercials. But anyway, yeah, you all right over there?
Sorry, they're in the process of, while we're recording this, they're doing the photo shoots
Oh,
for
right,
our Remarkables,
right.
and one of them didn't show up.
Oh no.
Sorry
So
about that.
We won't call out who it was. We'll just give you a chance to do that, and I'll just talk about Wicked.
Sorry.
That's okay. You do what you gotta
So right off the bat, Ariana Grande is amazing in this movie. I love every time she's on the screen, everything she does. I'm not even a huge Ariana Grande fan. Like, I wasn't like, oh my God, Ariana Grande's in this movie. But I absolutely fell in love with her in this movie.
It almost sounded like no, I'm not going to say it. A fan of a different singer, but I don't want her people to get mad at me, so I'm not going to say it. Like, oh my God, I love the person so much. I also am not obsessed with Ariana Grande. And to no fault of her own, I'm just obsessed with not liking her brother. Oh
my God, he did do a TikTok though, and he wore like this pink sparkly suit, and he walked up to the ticket counter, and the lady was like, "What movie?" And he goes, "Gladiator 2."
That's hilarious.
And that made me laugh.
All right, that's hilarious. I'm gonna give him that one. So I was going into this thinking like, I think of Galinda being Kristen Chenoweth, and I'm thinking like, this doesn't seem like really good. This doesn't seem like something I'm going to enjoy. And then I go back to the promos, and watching like the two of them do interviews is painful.
Oh my God.
It's just painful. So I picture like that's the energy they're bringing to the roles, and I'm just like, I'm not going to like it.
Yeah.
But I will say, although Ariana Grande was a lot in this movie like she is in the interviews, it worked for this character.
Yeah.
And I think she did really well. And one thing I really like about her is that, or this is just in general, right? I feel this way about any movie, show, any adaptation of anything, even like a Broadway show when a new cast member comes in. I feel this. You're playing a character. You're not playing yourself. You're playing that character. So you should be just like the original, because that's the role that you're playing. And she did that, I felt like she was Glinda. Like, she wasn't Ariana Grande trying to be Glinda. Like, I feel like she's probably way more talented than she's showing us yet. Like, she's like, oh, I'm this singer, but then you're going to find out that she's this mega talent actress.
Did you ever watch Victorious when it was on Nickelodeon? Because she was on that, and she's hilarious. This is before she was a big pop superstar.
Oh, no.
And
I didn't even know that she was on a TV
She's
show.
the funniest person on the show. She's hilarious, and her comedic timing is... I was not surprised by her comedic timing in this movie, because she was really good in Victorious.
I was impressed with her. Now, somebody did say this phrase, like that before they saw the movie, they were like, there's Oscar buzz about Ariana Grande, and they were like, whatever. And then after they saw the movie, they said, if she doesn't win, I'm gonna be mad.
Most experts have her as number 2 right now, behind Zoe Saldana.
There's no way that she was better than Zoe Saldana.
Zoe Saldana is probably
or Selena Gomez. I thought she was fantastic.
Oh, Selena Gomez doesn't even look like she might get an Oscar nomination.
She was. I felt like the two of them were really good, so they should win. I'm not saying she shouldn't be nominated for this, but they should definitely win. But it's not Ariana Grande's fault. Those roles are
they're just different roles. Yeah,
for awards more so than this. But she was really good. She was really good in this. I was really impressed with her. I like her singing was on point, and it wasn't like pop star singing. It was like, this is
she
wicked
actually.
musical.
I saw an interview with her in one of the million interviews that she did, and when they gave her the role, she hired a vocal coach because she was like, most of the songs that Glinda sings in this aren't like her typical singing style. So she got a vocal coach to help her learn how to sing properly like Glinda. So I appreciate the extra work she put into it.
Yeah, well, that's really good. I will say this about the promos as I bash them all. There was one thing that they did before the movie started that I really liked, and they showed the Zoom calls.
Oh, yeah.
Where they gave them the roles and how excited they were.
Yeah,
and
there's a special on Peacock. Because it's a Universal picture, a 45-minute like making of leading up to it, and they have extended versions of those calls, and they're really good. I dug it.
Oh, I'm gonna check those out. That was really cool.
Check it out. One thing that they did, Nessa, her sister, seems meaner in this one. She's not that mean in the stage show. She's like a bitch to her.
Yeah, because I feel like she likes her a lot. That's okay. There's been more sing-alongs during this podcast than when I saw the show and the movies. Caitlin's just humming along. Whenever you say something that triggers a song, she starts humming along. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but it's okay. It's distracting me. That's why I looked over. I can't wait to see that on the podcast. Like, the look on my face was like... Anyway, she in the show, she loves her sister up until a certain point. We haven't hit that point in this movie. So in part 1, she should always like her sister, but she seems to be annoyed by her sister.
She's supposed to be on her side, but this entire movie, she's annoyed with everything she does.
Yeah, like, why are you here?
It annoys me.
Now, I don't in the musical. She was always supposed to go.
Yeah.
She's supposed to be a student. In the movie, they decided that she wasn't supposed to be a student. In
she
fact,
was just going to
everybody's way more mean to her in this movie than they were to Elphaba than they were in the Broadway show. Which I guess you have more time when you make a 900-hour movie. You have time to explore these options.
Yeah, I mean, they go into her backstory when she's a kid and she's got like a bear nanny, and I
love the bear nanny.
It was cute. But they go into
Who voiced the bear nanny? Do we know?
Oh, I'm not sure.
All right.
I'll look it up while you're talking. You're not saying anything.
Caitlin, here's your cue on the few bars. So I appreciated that character and it was really nice. So
Sharon Clark.
Do you know who's in this movie that I didn't know until today?
And the bearded woman.
Yes. It's amazing how she looks different without a beard.
Yeah, the beard from The Greatest Showman.
Yeah.
She is...
Kia Settle?
I wrote down... Well, I was going to say her character name.
Yeah, Mrs. Cottle. Yeah.
Keela Settle, yeah.
Yeah, Keela Settle. She was...
somebody else in this movie who I could take or leave, Bowen Yang, who is Bowen Yang in everything he is in, and I don't need to see him play the same character in everything. It's just
he wasn't the same type, I don't think, in Fire Island.
Even
and I
Fire
liked
Island,
him,
he was a little too Bowen
This
Yang
was
for
sort
me.
of like the this is like an SNL skit for him.
Every time he's on the screen, I felt like it was an
iceberg. It's everything he's ever done, and on SNL was this.
Every time he's on screen, I felt like I was watching SNL.
Yeah. What else do we want to say? Popular is always in my head. Always.
Really? I have been saying out of nowhere, like I'll be working or I'll be like cleaning my house and I just will out loud, I'll be like, no one mourns the wicked.
Oh,
and
really?
I'll just go back to cleaning. Yeah.
I wish that was in my head more than although it's like, I do like that song. I've always liked it. I liked it in the show. I liked it when we saw Megan Hilty and she did it.
Yeah.
It was so good. I like it in this.
The songs of this are probably some of my all-time favorite from a Broadway musical.
Yeah, I gotta say they do an incredible job. So I know that I'm sounding like I hate this movie, but I don't. The sets are amazing. The songs are incredible. The people do a really good job. It's just they build up so much. I expected to walk out of there feeling like I had a spiritual moment, and it just didn't happen for me.
A couple of things that annoyed me with it is not the whole movie, but there are certain scenes, and one of them when she's singing The Wizard and I, and she's like running through the field, are so washed out. Like, it's Oz. It's supposed to be like this bright, colorful land. And there's a couple of spots in it where it just seems so washed out.
I did find myself getting confused about there being this big difference between the Emerald City in Oz and Munchkinland. And like, it's just all like they all seem to be different than they were in the movie, I think. But I could just.
You mean from the Wizard of Oz movie? Or?
Yeah. It could all just be even the. Like, I just seem to be very confused about where everyone lived and why.
Yeah.
And wasn't like somebody from like, why is the mayor of Munchkinland? Or was he the mayor of Oz? I felt like the Elphabet's father was the mayor of Munchkinland.
Yeah, he is the mayor of Munchkinland.
Why is the mayor of Munchkinland not a Munchkin? Or was he?
I think he's supposed to be a Munchkin.
And so there I go. So then the Carrot Top. I'm just kidding. That's a derogatory term for a redheaded person. SpongeBob. You call him SpongeBob because he voices SpongeBob?
He played SpongeBob on Broadway.
Oh, okay. So SpongeBob is a Munchkin.
Mr. Ariana Grande. Yeah.
But he's not. Isn't he the same? Was he? Or did I just sleep through all of his parts?
He's pretty short.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. I don't know if he's just naturally short or if...
I didn't get the sense that the Munchkins were Munchkins. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, they are definitely, and I think that was probably a choice to avoid stereotyping, but they are definitely not as short as they are in Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
However, speaking of short, have you seen the photo of at the premiere? And it's Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, Christian Chenoweth, and Idina Menzel.
No.
And they're all standing in a row. Idina Menzel looks like she's like a 7-foot tall supermodel. Idina Menzel is 5'7".
No.
Yes. The other three are anywhere between 4'11" and 5'1".
Wow.
She looks like a giant next to them. It's hilarious.
The other thing that struck me as weird here, so let's go in another Gangle direction, is that Jonathan Bailey plays, what's his name? Fierro. And I mean, he's dreamy. He's just great. We love everything that he does. But I want to make this note.
Yeah.
Okay. He's like 100 years older than everybody else that goes to that school. So it makes me confused about the school. And is this a college? Is it high school? Even if it's a college, he just seems older than everybody else to be there. So I just
made a note of that. I put Jonathan Bailey is older than the other students, but he's hot and charming, so I don't care.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I get it, right? He's hot and charming, so we're going to let that go. But I'm going to have to say, for anyone who's like, this is okay that he's in this, and it doesn't ruin it at all, if you also then think that Ben Platt being older and in high school in the movie version of Dear Evan Hansen bothers you, I'm sorry. I have no sympathy for you. I
think the biggest issue was the terrible wig that Ben Platt was wearing.
Was it a wig, or did he just grow his hair out?
I don't know, but it looks like a wig.
Because you know what? When people are older and they play younger in a movie from a Broadway show, they grow their hair out really curly so they hide their receding hairlines. So the same thing happened with Roger in Rent. In every version of Rent, Roger has really short hair that's like spiky blonde, but in the movie version they grew his hair out and it was real shaggy, so
I don't know if it's his real hair or not. It looks like a bad wig, and I think that was the biggest issue. Also, there was a whole nepotism thing with him. His dad was the original producer on it, so there's a lot of layers that go into the hating on Ben Platt there. I feel like most of what I read didn't have to do with his age, though.
Some of the everything that I ever heard about it was that he's too old to play his character and it's stupid. There's a weird thing. I love Ben Platt. I think he's great. But he sometimes he just looks like it's a person wearing a Ben Platt mask.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I gotcha.
So anyway, Defying Gravity, I'll say this, from the moment that she discovered that the wizard was not powerful, or actually before that, from the time she meets the wizard to the end of the movie, I thought that was incredible.
Yeah, well,
like
I will say once
thing,
they got to Oz, the whole Oz time in Oz was really good because it's big and it's fantastical.
That monkey scene was powerful, like when she gave them the wings and all that. That was just really good. Really, really good.
My favorite scene of the movie was Popular. The whole Popular, where she's danced around the room. Absolutely loved it.
I can't remember if I was just waking up for that one.
Anyway, you should check it out. It's fantastic. The whole animal subplot is great.
Yeah.
Peter Dinklage is the goat, literally.
Mm-hmm.
He is the goat, and figuratively.
You know,
He is the
and
goat.
for anyone, like, I mean, this movie should have come out before the election. I mean, come on. You can't draw a bigger parallel to what's really happening in the world today than this.
Oh, then when they're dancing at the Ozdust. I love that scene because she comes in and she's got the hat and they're all like making fun of her. I
saw that.
I got a
woke
little
up for
choked
that.
up at that because I was like, oh, this is tough. And then she like comes in and they do the dance together. Love that part.
That was when Galinda became good.
Mm-hmm. The good.
I was a fan.
And I'm sure they mentioned this in the musical, but I never caught it. Why she changed her name from Galinda to Glinda. Is that mentioned in the musical? Yeah. Oh, okay. Because I never caught it. But in the movie, she makes a big deal about, to stand in honor of the goat.
Yeah. She's always trying to be as cool as Elphaba.
Yeah.
And she does that for sure. Yeah.
I love Jeff Goldblum and Michelle Yeoh as actors, and I thought they were fine in this. I can't stand the whole talk singing thing.
Yeah.
That they both do. It's like they talk the lyrics, and I'm like, can't you get singers?
Yeah. Or, I mean, they did that with, it's not like Audrey Hepburn was a singer. So,
what was Audrey
Julie Andrews sang in My Fair Lady, and she was the singing voice for her. I believe somebody was, and I feel like that was the case.
I do recall reading something where I don't know who sung for her, but yeah, that they had to dub her voice because Audrey Hepburn's singing voice was terrible. But yeah, Defying Gravity is the ending is really good. I thought it was, the movie gradually gets better as it goes on. It starts off with far too few Munchkin houses, and then it gradually gets better. It was
way too long though. And somebody had told me like, "Oh, you're not gonna feel like it's that as long as it is."
I
felt
feel
every
like
minute.
It was 3 hours, but it did feel longer than your average movie.
Yeah, it definitely could have. Like they could have shortened it and done the whole thing in one. They didn't need to break it up into two. But money.
Yeah, I understand. I'm sure there were reasons. Other than money, maybe it was, the pacing and they didn't want to cut any of the songs or anything. Because, I mean, even if you did a 2 hour and 50-minute movie or a 3 hour movie, because you've got to do, your scene building and all that, instead of just putting a few things out on stage, you're going to have to cut something. So they probably just didn't want to cut some songs. And who knows, maybe we'll get some new songs in the second part.
I feel like you already had one. Oh, my favorite part of the movie, I didn't mention this. My favorite part was, which I don't think happened in the original, or in the musical, is when they tell the story about the wizard coming to.
Yes. No, that's new.
And they had Glinda and
they had Idina Menzel and Christian Chenoweth.
I thought they were great, and I really enjoyed it.
And
I thought it was funny that Idina Menzel was like, "Here's how you hit those notes," and then sang the end of
another cameo when they finish up that song and the guard says, "The wizard will see you now." Do you know who that is?
That was Steven Schwartz.
Steven Schwartzman, the guy who wrote the music.
I don't know that I was awake during that part, but Jen said earlier, like, "I think that was Steven Schwartz." Look, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't recognize that face." I might have. There was a good 45 minutes where I was in and out of consciousness. I was hearing things, and I'm like, I'm just listening. But you know how like when you're falling asleep and your head does one of those?
Yeah.
Oh, I did that twice. So I was like, I expected to like wake up and be drool all over. Anyway, what else did I want to say about this?
I did like the fact that Glinda decided that the yellow brick road would be yellow.
That was nice. That was new.
Nice little touch.
It reminded me of that cover we did with the rainbow bricks leading up to the Wizard of Oz, and like how we were like, oh, what should they look like, or how should the gradient go? And like that was funny.
We should have just hired the people who put Wicked together.
But so I'm gonna tell you how many grapes I think we should give this, and I'm gonna try and explain it before I do. I have seen the Wicked musical like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
So watching this movie was nothing new to me. It was nothing spectacular. It was like, it wasn't a spiritual movement that some people seem to have. So Jen loved it. Jen had seen Wicked once, and it was many years ago, and
Yeah.
so she loved it. So I'm gonna say that if you've not seen this a lot, like you either have to be in love with Wicked or you have to know nothing about it to walk out of it and be like, this was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I won't say it's the greatest. I've seen the stage show 3 times, and I like the movie better than the stage show.
See, I guess I'm finding that I like the stage shows better of anything, really. Like, except Chicago. God, the stage version of Chicago is a bore now that the movies come out. And like I'm gonna go see Gypsy, I think, when I go to New York in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And like I just like the stage version of shows that I've already seen on stage. I really just like those better. But having said all that, I think I've got to try and not let the production hype get in the way of it, and just say it was good. And if you haven't seen it, you should definitely see this. So I'm gonna go with 2.5.
Yeah. 2.5 out of 3.
Yeah,
it's a very high rating based on how you.
I'm
talked
probably
about
overcompensating because it actually is good.
I think it's one of the best movies I've seen this year, and I'm giving it 2.5. It's definitely it's going to be nominated for a bunch of Oscars. It's going to get nominated for Best Picture.
See, I don't see that.
Oh, but it will. I mean, I'm just saying it will.
I'm sure, but I just don't see why it would earn that. I wasn't moved by anything. Nothing moved me or gave me goosebumps, or I felt like, oh, this is super emotional. It just seemed like I don't know.
Oh, I disagree. I felt there were several scenes in it that I thought were very emotional.
I would disagree.
Also, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, you slept through half the thing.
I don't think I slept through half of it. I would say maybe a third of it. Like I said, I was in and out of consciousness. And are you saying like that if I had the 30 to 40 minutes in the beginning of it, I would have been invested?
The whole story, I think because these are, while they're characters that these are new renditions of the characters, and I think that if you watched, the whole progression of the movie, I think you get more invested.
Because I saw I was like wide-eyed and bushy-tailed all the way through until they got to the school. And then,
they get to the school like 10 minutes in.
And then I was in and out of it until before Popular. And then from Popular on, I was all the way there. So I think I saw a bunch of it.
I think that I think it carries a bigger emotional punch than you're giving it credit for.
I feel like we drink opposite juice. I felt like going into it, I was going to be that person, but we swapped. It's okay. Yeah. What do you think Rotten Tomatoes was?
I mean, all I've heard about is how fantastic everybody loved this movie. So I'm going to say critics 90 and audiences 95.
Critics 90, audiences 97.
Oh, well, audience liked it a little more than I thought they would.
I haven't voted.
Yeah. How many people?
Until they go to grapes versus tomatoes. I can't do it. Let's see.
I'm curious how many people have written reviews. As far as audiences, I mean, critics usually are around the same amount as all the other movies.
10,000 plus.
10,000. Oh, okay. So that's, yeah. So yours and my review won't matter at all. It's not going to move the needle.
No, much like a Trump vote in New York, or a Harris vote in Florida. It just doesn't matter.
Nope, doesn't matter. I am looking forward now to the second half. I will say that I feel like most of the good songs are in the first half.
Yes.
So I'm real interested to see how they do the second half, which is why I'm hoping they introduce some new songs. Although For Good is a good song.
It's really good. But the thing that I'm really looking forward to that. But the thing about the second half is that most of the action happens. And so like you really get to, like, they really dive into this idea that they've made her out to be something she's not. Yeah. And you see everything that happens to like the Scarecrow, the Lion, and Tin Man.
Yeah. Because the second act runs parallel to the movie.
Yeah, and you see like all the things that she's doing is not like she's not trying to hurt anybody. Yeah, it's fascinating. So I'm excited to see like when the ruby slippers come into play.
Silver, it's not MGM.
Oh, they're not going to be ruby?
No, they showed you the shoes in the beginning, the silver ones.
But I think But don't they become Ruby when she does something to them?
No, Ruby is MGM. They're not allowed to use ruby slippers. That's why even in the show, they're not. In the Wicked show, they're not ruby.
What?
They're silver.
I thought they
because in
turned
the
red.
original Wizard of Oz books, they're silver.
Must have slept
And then
through that.
MGM changed them to ruby slippers.
I must have slept. I didn't sleep through the Broadway show at all. I don't sleep through Broadway shows.
The Barbie show?
Broadway.
Oh, I thought you said I didn't sleep through the Barbie show.
All right. We're getting closer to 1:30. We're at 1:38, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
We're working on it, folks.
So yeah, so that's what we did this week. Next week, I don't know. What are we doing next week?
Are we doing Queer?
No, because I read this morning Queer opens this week, but only in New York and LA. Everywhere December 13th. So we got to find something, or we've got to fly to New York to see it.
All right, we'll find something.
But we'll find something, and we'll talk about Thanksgiving and all that good jazz. But until then, the cork is back in the bottle.